very easily vault over Turkey in terms of its level of democracy. Turkey is generally described as the most democratic country in the Muslim world. But actually there were some drags on Turkish democratization, the role of the military, ultranationalism, which is part of this syndrome that you described. Iran doesn't have that. Now, you said there hasn't been democracy in Iran for a long time. Certainly, you talk about governments. That's true. In the late 1940s and early 1950s, Iran was a thriving democracy. Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh was an elected and very popular leader. It was the United States and Britain who went in and overthrew Mossadegh. Now, this is a great example of taking a step that seems successful in the short run, but in the long run, it's devastating, not only for the target country, but also for us. We thought overthrowing Mossadegh was a great idea and a great success. We got rid of a guy we didn't like, and we put in a guy, the Shah, who would do everything we wanted. So that seems like a great success. But what happened? The Shah's increasing repression led to the explosion of the late 70s. That brought us the regime of the crazy mullahs, and that was a bitterly anti-American regime. That revolution also terrified the Soviets. It led them in part to invade Afghanistan. That's what brought us into the Afghan quagmire that we now find ourselves in. That revolution also persuaded Saddam Hussein to invade Iran. That led the United States to become a military ally of Saddam. After President Reagan sent Donald Rumsfeld to ask Saddam, what can we do to help you? What kind of weapons do you want? That was our death embrace with Saddam, which is the beginning of everything we're facing in Iraq. So a lot of history came out of those 3 weeks in the summer of 1953 in Iran. Things went very badly. So Iranians have been much more frustrated in their struggle for democracy than Turks have. Now, Turkey also has had a 100-year struggle for democracy that has been full of zags as well as zigs, if you want to put it that way. There have been a lot of setbacks. You're absolutely correct. Neither of these countries has had a clear path toward democracy. Nonetheless, I do maintain that they're more democratic societies than any Muslim societies. Now, you might argue that the spectrum that's putting the bar pretty low. Nonetheless, I'd say this. Democracy can take hold anywhere, but there are a couple of caveats. First of all, neither democracy nor any political system can be imposed by a foreign army at the point of a gun. Second, it has to be a system that people decide themselves that they want. And Iranians and Turks did make this decision generations ago. Secondly, it takes time. One of the things we see in Iraq is you can't just give them a constitution and expect them to be democratic tomorrow. Because democracy is not just an election. Democracy is a whole way of dealing with life's problems. It takes generations to assimilate this. The only two countries that have had generations doing this are Turkey and Iran. Now, I want to stress that I don't see American policy going forward as one in which we got to throw some people off the bus and throw some other people off. But I do think that we need a new configuration that's going to help everybody. I think the United States needs to deal with countries on a more equal basis and not be caught in the paradigms of the past. I don't believe that we need to reduce our ties or weaken our ties with Israel. I think that's a bad idea. But what I do wonder, and in my stay in Israel, maybe you saw some of this yourself, I did sense that there's a bifurcation of opinion, which I also sense here, in which more people are wondering, are we really doing what we need to do to make sure that Israel's security is guaranteed over the long run? I think there's a growing question. Are some of the Israeli government's policies actually harming Israel's long-term perspectives? The fact is, Israel's not going to be able to defend itself forever by only